This show is part of the RetroZap.com podcast network.
Hi, this is Joey, and today's show is brought to you by TeePublic. Go to the Animanicast TeePublic store by visiting teepublic.animanicast.com. I'm Nathan.
And welcome everybody to a special episode of the Animanicast. And welcome once again to a special episode of the Animanicast. We are the only podcast out there that's dedicated to the animated television series, Animaniacs. And here we explore the series episode by episode, exploring all the cultural references and gags that we can find. And in the end, we give each episode a water tower rating. I am Joey, and joining me once again is my brother Nathan.
Where's Kelly?
Well, not joining us across the country is Kelly, because Kelly is actually on a cruise right now. She's out. We're going to call it the Animanicast cruise.
Yeah,
it was our first cruise as a podcast. You know how it is when you become a big podcast, and you get to get your own cruise together with all your fans and everything. Yeah, we started one. Unfortunately, Nathan and I missed the boat, and so did
literally.
So did all of our listeners, I believe. But Kelly's there with her friends, so that's good. So she's having a great time on the Animanicast cruise this week. But that leaves me and Nathan on dry land, and we're going to be talking about a couple cool things, though. We're going to talk about the Animaniacs merchandise that has been hitting shelves and
merchandising.
Yeah, we're going to talk about the merchandise that's been hitting the store shelves and, of course, online retailers, whatever, or realtors, and they've been selling this, land and houses. I don't know.
Yeah. Hey.
An Animaniacs house. Ooh.
A water tower.
Wow. We're going to get into all of it. And if we miss something, you know what? Just let us know. Give us an email, animanicast@retrozap.com. And, let us know what you have found out there on store shelves or shore shelves. And we'll share it with the show. After our merchandise talk, we're also going to be talking about Animaniacs Issue number 4, way back from 1995, the comic series. And it's an issue that, it has issues. It has issues. It has some major issues, and we're going to get into that. But let's go ahead and get into our merchandise talk right now.
This is Pinky, and you're listening to Animanicast. You know why? Because you're going to take over the world.
Narf.
So, when it comes to Animaniacs merchandise, there's a lot more than there used to be. That's for sure. Back in the heyday, Nathan, do you remember having, seeing Animaniacs and stuff on store shelves and?
Well, at the Warner Brothers store.
Definitely there. But you don't remember it seeing much other places other than that?
No, not really, no.
Yeah. Well, you were younger. I mean, it was pretty much everywhere. I mean, I still have my box of Life cereal that got autographed by Tress MacNeille, Jess Harnell, and Rob Paulson, because that was the only thing in the house that I could really think could get signed on the day they were coming to town. And, hey, it's worked out perfectly for me. But, there was quite a bit of Animaniacs merchandise. It could be seen, most of it was kind of cheap stuff. In my little...
Yeah, like Happy Meal stuff, right?
Yeah, Happy Meal. I mean, Happy Meal did a pretty decent job, I think, with the toys back then. And, of course, they had Tiny Toons as well. There was video games, and we'll get into our discussion of those video games one of these days.
Yeah.
But, of course, at the Warner Brothers store, they had everything. They had those great plush animals. They had, of course, the expensive stuff like the animation cells that you could buy, and T-shirts and all those different things. I bought a lot of Animaniacs T-shirts and Pinky and the Brain things from there. One of the Animaniacs shirts I still have right here in the room too. I'll have to. It doesn't fit me anymore, but 20 years ago it fit me really well. But let's go ahead and talk about some of. Speaking of clothes, let's talk about some of the shirts and clothes that are out right now. Let's start our talk over about Hot Topic. Hot Topic's always a great place to go to. You know, when you're looking for clothes, or you're looking for piercings or black clothing, or
if you want to like rebel against the man, like yes. Hot Topic is.
Yeah, if you want to rebel against the man and buy some corporate stuff, then that's exactly where you go. Hot Topic. And now I go there to like stick my head in there and just kind of feel a little old and awkward now as I walk in. Anyway, but Hot Topic has a couple of cool things that you could check out, and I'm not quite sure if you can actually find these in store. You might be able to find a few of them, in store, but the first one is one that our own co-host Kelly actually purchased and took over to Dragon Con last year, and that is the Wacko dress. And you can buy this in numerous different retailers, Hot Topic being one of them. But this is a cute dress. You can actually, it has a kind of a face of Wacko on the top, and then kind of Animaniacs print stuff on the skirt itself. It's and I think it comes with like ears and stuff too that you can put on.
Yeah, I'm not sure, like ears and a tail, or what?
Yeah.
Like, I'm not sure if that comes with it or if she's just wearing those, but
yeah, but it's pretty cute. I mean, it's a great dress to wear, at a convention, or
if you meet Rob Paulson.
If you meet Rob Paulson, exactly. She wore it during her meetup with Rob Paulson at the press conference last time at Dragon Con, and I think we might have audio of it, but Rob Paulson
audio of the dress.
Yeah, he asks her, "Did you make this?" So it is very nice looking, and it makes it.
You want a dress that looks homemade?
No, not like that. No, but it's unique. That's why, of course, he would ask, like, hey, "Did you make this?" Because you don't see it around anymore, But it's you can actually just buy it right there at Hot Topic. Well, Nathan, there's a couple other things at Hot Topic. What else? What other kind of T-shirts can you find over there on their website?
So they got like a pretty pink shirt with all the Warners jumping around, and then there's like weird like sweater thing that I could see here. It's a turquoise like long sleeve. It has the Animaniacs on it. There's also some socks which kind of look cool. I think I would like those the most because they're very plain.
Yeah, exactly. The socks themselves, that's really, when it comes to the guy stuff, that's probably what I would go for too. They look very almost professional, they're just gray and have a little tiny Yakko head on one and a Wacko head on the other. And the other two shirt, like the girl's shirt is kind of a tie-dye-ish shirt, pink tie-dye, and the boy's shirt is kind of a long sleeve T-shirt right there that is turquoise. It looks okay. They're kind of, it's weird because these are kind of retro, like they look very much like the same symbols and stamps kind of clip art that you would see on tons of Animaniacs merchandise, just put on shirts that are new shirts instead of old shirts. It looks pretty good, but yeah, those socks are definitely the one to go to, and they're only $7.92 right now, so that's pretty inexpensive for socks.
I guess for one pair, though. I mean,
yeah, well, who else is going to say that they have Animaniacs socks?
I guess.
Well, another store that is very, it's similar to Hot Topic, but we don't have one in Tucson, but I think there might be perhaps one or something in the LA area. And this is Box Lunch. And Box Lunch, you can also find these at boxlunch.com, has a few different Animaniacs shirts, one of which I really like just because it's so uncommon, is a Hello Nurse t-shirt. And it features Hello Nurse right in the front and center. And on the right and left of her, there's a Yakko and Wacko with little hearts in their eyes and falling in love with her. And there's, hearts and stuff all around it.
I feel like their coloring is weird though. Like they're pink.
Yeah, they're pink. They're so much in love that they've changed color.
Yeah. Their shirts and pants and hat, it's like they only had red and pink for some reason. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, these are a little bit more expensive, but I believe the whole concept though for box lunch is that when you buy stuff with box lunch, that they actually buy stuff for other people. It says with every $10 spent on their pop culture themed product, such as collectibles and stuff, box lunch will help provide a meal secured by Feeding America for local food banks. So, you're doing your part. You're getting a cool Animaniacs shirt and you're helping fund some local food banks around the country. So that's kind of cool. There's also an Animaniacs shirt that shows the, see no evil, speak no evil, hear no evil kind of thing with Yakko, Wacko, and Dot. It's on a lot of pictures. And a pretty cool long sleeve Animaniacs checkered long sleeve t-shirt that I think it looks pretty much the best of those designs. And of course there's those socks again. I'm not exactly sure if they're the same socks or not.
They're the same. They're $5 more though.
Yeah. Or actually twice as much.
They're twice as much. Yeah, I guess they're $15 instead of $8.
Yeah. So they're almost twice as much. But you're feeding somebody, right? I don't know.
I don't know. I'm sure you could give someone $8. They probably could get more food than whatever box lunch is going to get. But Hey, box lunch isn't a sponsor of ours. We don't care. Yeah. Go to Hot Topic and then find somebody, buy them a value meal at McDonald's. Hot Topic's not sponsoring us either.
Well, yeah, that's true. Oh well.
Give us the money. We'll buy it for you. And
exactly. Well, speaking of people who aren't sponsoring us, there's a couple other places here you can get some Animaniacs shirts. 80s Tees has a couple of different Animaniacs official licensed merchandise. One of them is just the traditional Animaniacs logo, and it's kind of distressed. And the other one is very weird looking, and it says "Insane in the Brain," and it's really funky looking. It almost looks like psychedelic. It's green and hot pink with the brain kind of staring at you weird, and it's kind of weird. What do you think about these designs, Nathan?
I don't know. The brain looks like a brain, like the word brain.
It's all squishy and pink looking.
I guess the classic Animaniacs one is always a fine one. It looks all like pre-faded, so it looks
when you want to make it look like you have a retro shirt, but you don't.
Yeah, like a brand new shirt that looks like it's 10 years old already. So it's.
Well, and of course, I've also seen a couple, there's a great Pinky in the Brain shirt that's available over at Target, I believe. And you can get that in their pop culture section in men's. It has Pinky in the Brain on it. It looks pretty cool. Those shirts go on sale for, $8, $10, something like that. So that's a pretty affordable Animaniacs shirt. I think Kohl's every now and then has Animaniacs shirts from time to time, but they're kind of popping here and there and everywhere. Then sometimes they disappear completely, like the site, The Hundreds, which is this men's apparel site. It sells very expensive stuff. The Hundreds had a deal with Animaniacs a few months ago, and I don't know. And they even had a deal before that with Roger Rabbit merchandise too. And basically, they sell a few things for a very limited stock, and then they're sold out and they're gone. And I'm amazed because, while off the top of my head, I can't remember how much these things were, but I want to say it was like $40 or $50 for a shirt. And it was just, it didn't look any different than any of these other shirts that go for like 10 or 20. Other than you can say that you spent $50 on an Animaniacs shirt. It's kind of cool, but I think we all know where the place you should go if you really want a cool Animaniacs shirt. Nathan, where do they need to go?
It's the Animanicast TeePublic Store.com.
That's right. It's it's tpublic.animanicast.com. And you can see a full listing of different Animaniacs shirts that have been designed by independent artists. And what's really awesome about buying these, not only did they often go on sale for as little as $14 a design for the shirts, but you also help support the artist, and you even help support this podcast as well. So it's a double dip for how fantastic it is. So check that out for some shirts right there. You won't be disappointed. Plus, you can make some different merchandise with it too. You can get stickers or phone cases or sweatshirts.
Or a mug.
Yeah. We have Animanicast mugs, and they work perfectly, don't they? They keep things warm. And I've washed it over and over and over in the dishwasher, and it doesn't come off or anything. I love it. Anyway. So, what else do we have, Nathan? What are some, other than apparel, what else do we have out there that's merchandise related?
Oh boy, let me tell you. So, we have, some weird, okay. So at Nostalgia Vault, we found a pen.
Yep.
There's a pen here for, $10? And it has, the 3 Warners on it.
Yeah, and that's kind of like it's a totally new design. So it's like some artist made these right here at Nostalgia Vault. And yes, some nice little Yakko, Wacko, and Dot kind of stylized lapel pin right there.
Yeah.
Looks pretty nice.
That's fine. Yeah. You mentioned something about Animaniacs masks?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, there's some Animaniacs masks that you can find out there as well. And these, how could I describe these? These look like the old masks from the 80s, where they're just kind of like plastic, where you have little holes in the eyes and a little hole for like the mouthpiece, basically. It just covers the front half of your face. And they're made with that kind of, somewhat hard plastic, kind of cheap plastic that'll break right after a while.
Fun.
Yeah, so much fun. The ones I'm talking about, right? With the rubber band that would go around the back of your head. Do you remember these, Nathan? You were a child of late 80s. I don't know if you had much experience with these.
Well, I mean, sure, I guess. I don't know. I'm just picturing like cardboard masks.
It's very similar to that.
Book.
But, yeah, people know what I'm talking about out there. This is a Halloween mask used to be like, where you have a rubber band across the back of your head and a plastic mask that kind of sits on the front of your face. And boy, oh boy, back in the day, it would be sometimes the plastic would be, kind of cutting into your face a little bit and everything. Boy, the things we had to go through in the 80s. But anyway, these masks go for about $15 to $20 each online. And while I wouldn't say that they're cosplay quality, I could definitely see some people wearing these at a Comic-Con of some sort, or at a Halloween party or costume party.
Or just around the house.
Around the house. If you're creepy, you want to wear that, because they do kind of look creepy.
Or if you want to rob a bank or something, right?
That's
Don't
true.
You wear those kind of masks?
Yeah, exactly. They're great for bank robberies. They will show the back of your head, so maybe they're not that great, but whatever.
That's fine.
Yeah, okay. So rob a bank and let us know.
No.
Okay.
Nope.
Okay, okay, fine. Don't rob a bank. But other than that, we have, there's other things as well. Of course, we have the Funko figures, which are very popular and still available on many outlets. I know at Amazon, you could get each one of, there's Yakko, Wacko, Dot, and Pinky and the Brain. And each one goes for about $10, although the Brain and Yakko are a little rarer right now. Let's see, Pinky, Dot, and Wacko, you can get them for about $9, sometimes 10, but the Brain sometimes goes up to about 15, and Wacko I've been seeing for 20. So I'm not exactly sure what's going on with the distribution with those Funko figures, but they are available, and they're pretty cool. And Nathan, you helped me buy one.
Yes.
You had to go on the hunt at the Las Phoenix Comic-Con, and
I was all over the place.
Haggling and doing all this thing, getting that Brain. And of course, we can't stop our merchandise discussion without the talk of two very important figures. What are those?
So we have the Q-Figs, Max the Good Feathers figures, which are just recently released. They look really cool. And then there's also the Pinky and the... What? Oh, yeah. They're definitely cool. And then the Pinky and the Brain, the Q-Fig, figurine that came out a little while ago. But that one, and looks like, they're reading plans to take over the world, and they're both very well done, so.
Yeah, these are really fantastic figures, and they're only $15 each.
Which, yeah, they look like they could be well past that. I mean. Oh,
totally.
Like 50, more.
Oh, totally. When you first see these figures, I mean, without knowing the scale, you could think that they're like a foot high. The attention to detail when I first saw these was just like, how big are these? Like, I really thought they were like, they could be, a few inches tall, or they could be 12 inches tall. I'm not exactly sure because the detail is so great on them. But you can find both the Good Feathers and the Pinky and the Brain figures on qmxonline.com. And like I said, they're only, I think, $14.99 each. So now that they're both available, you could purchase both of them and, get a good deal on shipping and handling. And there you go. You can get some awesome stuff.
So again, we got to get these as sponsors. So.
There you go.
I guess if you do that, tell them that we sent you.
Yeah, exactly. If you buy those QMX figures.
I don't think I would do anything.
No, probably not. But anyway. But we like that people like QMX. We talk to them online a lot. And whenever QMX does, really has released these new Animaniacs figures, they've made sure to tag us on the photos and everything like that so we can spread the word. So, yeah, they look awesome. I can't wait to get my hands on these someday and review them for the show. So I guess with that, let's wrap up our merchandise conversation and get into our comics talk.
Oh.
But before we do that, if we forgot anything out there, folks, you can email us. This is you can email us at animanicast@retrozap.com. Let us know if you find anything new out there on store shelves, or perhaps if you have any memories of Animaniacs merchandise from the past that is, memorable, some of your favorite stuff. Let us know. We'll be happy to share your thoughts. And speaking of retro stuff that I'm finding online, I found the coolest thing online. It's a Slappy Squirrel brush. It was like, it has to be the only Slappy Squirrel merchandise that was probably ever really made other than the Happy Meal toys.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, but it was a brush that just has Slappy Squirrel on it, and I found it on Etsy. You can get it. It's like for kids, but it's still in its package, and it's only $15. So if you happen to buy that out there, anybody, hey, write us a review. Let us know what you think about the Slappy Squirrel brush. And is your hair as nice as Slappy when you're done? Let us know. Anyway.
This way to commercials. Hey, it wasn't my idea.
According to legend, General Grievous was known to boast of the number of lightsabers he had acquired from the bodies of his slain Jedi enemies. Grievous was the first in a long tradition of collectors of rare items. A tradition that continues to this day on the Retro Zap podcast known as the Dork Lair.
Dork Lair. Banded together across the television dial are the 4 greatest superhero podcasts on the internet. Green Justice and Arrow podcast, Scarlet Velocity, a Flash podcast, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Case Files, and Terrigen Dreams and Inhumans podcast. Join Super Friends Jovial J and Jedi Schwa weekly as they provide commentary and discussion on your favorite heroes. Only on RetroZap.com.
All right, let's go ahead and get into our discussion right now of the Animaniacs comic issue number 4. So issue number 4 of Animaniacs, as mentioned, was published back in 1995, August, DC Comics. And we're going to be talking about the segments here called Reanimaniacs, Hello Watson, and then a Pinky and the Brain comic short entitled Space Case.
Ugh.
So Nathan, in just a few words, if you were to summarize this particular comic issue, what would you say?
Worst Pinky in the Brain ever.
It was pretty... There was a lot of, as the kids would say today, cringe-worthy things, I suppose. That's what all the kids at my school these days go, ooh, that's cringy. There's a lot of things in this issue that made me kind of cringy. But anyway, we're going to get into it. And so let's get into the first segment, or first comic, and this is called Reanimaniacs. Reanimaniacs was written by Bobby J.G. Weiss. The penciler was John Costanza. The inker was Richard Marizio. And the letterer was Steve Haney. Colorist, Joe Migogno. I believe that's French, and I believe I totally mispronounced Joe's
No, you
name.
got it.
No, I got it? Good. Oh, good. I'm glad. Anyway, Nathan, what happens here in Reanimaniacs?
All right, so Plotz is going to be holding a Big Wig Club celebration for old-time black and white cartoons, but he doesn't know anything about it, and neither does Dr. Scratch and Sniff. The only experts are the Warners, and as soon as they hear their voices or their names called, they bust into the room. But of course, Plotz does not want them to show up at all to the party. They, however, are going to do one thing better. And to really show how much they know about old-time black and white cartoons, they sneak into the vault and take an old-time cartoon of theirs and then reanimate their old selves. It's kind of a weird concept.
Yeah.
So then we got...
Let's talk about that scene for a second real quick. Because basically, because this part's weird. They go into the vault.
Yeah.
They take out an old film, which was like an old Silent Warner's cartoon, which Plotz does not want them to talk, because they made no sense. They were crazy. He hated them. Well, anyway, yeah, they gather round in the darkness, holding hands in a seance. And they say, like, Dot tells them, she dresses up like a gypsy and says, we must all raise our hands and sit close together. And, she's reading from a book that says Raising Spirits for Fun and Profit. And there's candles lit. It's a seance. It's like this weird scene, and she goes into kind of like this spell thing. She's waving her arms around, and out from the film canister jumps what, Nathan?
The Warners, but in black and white. Complete duplicates, other than being in black and white. Even their noses are black and white, which I felt like they could have maybe been red noses.
And the costumes are completely different too, actually.
Yeah.
It's
like they're old-timey cartoon costumes or something. I don't know. Immediately they hit Dot, the duplicate of Dot hits Dot with a mallet, and then just for fun. And so anyways, the Warners grab him, put him in a bag, and take him to the party. And then at the party they kind of run amok, and you would think it's going terrible, but one of the bigwigs is like, "Oh, that's great. We can just color them in and dub them over, and they'll be a huge hit." And then of course the black and white characters don't like that. They start throwing pies at everyone, and then the Warners get in a big fight with the black and white Warners, and then it's gonna be like, at one point, all the black and white Warners are gonna be like pulling all the ink out of the world, so everything will be black and white. But then the Warners somehow trick them to go back into an old film somehow. They just kind of like throw them in. I don't really understand it.
They said, I think they said, what did they say? They have a film canister. Their idea is to grab, they just stuff them into they stuff them into a film projector and then project them onto a screen, which then in turn puts them back onto the film canister. It's weird. Yeah.
And then anyways, now they're gonna be brought back, basically. There's going to be a revival of the Animaniacs, which is real life.
Yeah, exactly. So, they said, this is great. Like, executives come in and they say, wow, we really love black and white film and silent film. We're going to do more cartoons with these characters. This is a very confusing plot. And if you could understand what the heck was going on with just a verbal talk, then congratulations, because it is very weird. Let's talk about a couple references real quick that kind of stood out. I think the biggest one was there's the one executive that you said that wants to, colorize and dub their voices in. His name is Ted Turnover, and that is a reference to Ted Turner, who he owned CNN and TNT and all those different things for many years, and in fact was famous over the years for taking old films and colorizing them. I don't know about redubbing them, but he would take black and white films and color them in. So, they're kind of poking fun at him. And in fact, he colorized, the Wizard of Oz. You know how now we watch the Wizard of Oz and the beginning of it is the, kind of sepia tone kind of, thing with Dorothy in Kansas. Well, originally I believe it was literally black and white. So even that little sepia tone of black and white is colorized because of Ted Turner. So it's kind of weird. That's the biggest reference. I did think it was kind of funny that at this party, they're having like a comedy. It's like the history of comedy dinner or something like that. And a man is standing up in front of everybody and is talking about the custard pie becoming a symbol of rebellion in black and white silent comedy. Anarchy was maintained by the underdog who flung said pies into the face of the establishment. And, part of me is like, yeah, that's kind of over analytical and everything like that. But there actually was, and probably still is, a professor at the University of Arizona who I remember gave a talk on the Three Stooges and it feels like they just stole the speech from him because they talked about throwing the pies at the man or whatever, at the establishment was a big thing. I was like, wow, that actually looks like Professor Schwartz from the University of Arizona, but whatever. So Nathan, what do you think about this? This was, what are some highlights, some parts you liked or parts that were confusing?
Dr. Scratch and Sniff forgot that Plotz is afraid of clowns, I think.
Oh, really? I missed that part.
Well, because he's like, Dr. Scratch, or Plotz is saying that he's bored, and Dr. Scratch and Sniff says, like, hire a clown.
Oh,
so maybe he was
right.
just being, like, insulting him. I don't know, but obviously.
Well, I think the bigger plot hole than any kind of hiring a clown to help at the comedy, dinner was the fact that the black and white Warners don't, like you mentioned, Nathan, don't have red noses or anything like that.
Yeah,
and it's upsetting to me. This is one of the basics of basic things of the Animaniacs. It's in Newsreel of the Stars and everything like that they would show them with red noses and.
It's weird. It's like, is that not them, or is it just like younger versions? It's just a confusing idea too.
Yeah.
To
it's
do
like
a seance.
You have basically the clones fighting each other or something like that.
Yeah, but it's weird.
Did you get the idea that the older ones were like evil or something like that too? Didn't they seem
like the black and white ones?
Yeah.
Okay.
They just seem meaner.
Yeah, but just the fact that like Dot would hit Dot with a mallet just for funniness or something. Just because Dot said that she was cute. I don't know. Didn't really make sense.
Yeah. And they have this huge fight. They dress up like in soldier uniforms, which one thing I did kind of think is good from a design standpoint is the fact that the silent movie Warners are dressed up in World War I fatigues and the Warners that we know are dressed up kind of in World War II fatigues. So I thought that's a small little detail. It kind of looks cool. And, when I, read through it the first time, I didn't really notice that. So I thought that was kind of cool. But overall, it was just weird. It almost felt like Gremlins or something at some point. Like, when they finally lock them up and Yakko, the original black and white Yakko they just look evil. There's too many shots of the original Warners just looking mad at Yakko. So.
Yeah. Like you look at like every panel, I'm just looking at them like there's very few where they're like happy.
Yeah, exactly. So it just didn't feel right to me. Do you think that this comic would be able to translate well into an actual episode on TV or Hulu or whatever?
I mean, I guess if they wanted to go down that road, I don't know. I just think it's a weird concept for a cartoon, but I mean, I think it would translate well enough if they wanted to do that story, I guess.
It bothered me. It bothered me. The seance, it's like they're bringing back their dead selves, and
yeah, it's weird.
It was too weird.
I mean, like, but it could be a visual thing. Like, I could see it being a cartoon. I just wouldn't like the cartoon.
Yeah. It's very abstract for an Animaniacs issue or comic, whatever. Anyway, that was that one. Let's go ahead and move on to our next story, which is called Hello, Watson.
Hi.
And Hello, Watson. At first, when I was reading this, I was thinking it's about Sherlock Holmes, like we just talked about. But no,
that's what I was hoping.
Yeah, but it's not. Hello, Watson was written by John Walker. The penciler was Horatio Saavedra. The inker was Ruben Torreiro. Letterer was David Cody Weiss, and the colorist once again was Joe Munoz, or whatever. I'm mispronouncing Joe's name. Her name, I believe. Anyway. Well, basically in this, this comic, the Warners are in bicycles, or in Wacko's case, just taking advantage of being a cartoon character by floating in midair, because he is a cartoon character and apparently they could just float when they want to. Weird. The other Warners are riding around the water tower in a circle, and in this case, the water tower is very small. Like, it is literally the size of a normal water tower. It is wooden, and they're basically like riding their bicycles in circles in the water tower and hugging the walls. It's very odd. But they get bored of this and they want to get a pizza. They're hungry. So they say, well, let's call for pizza. But in order to call for pizza, they need to get the telephone. And apparently they are in history right now where Alexander Graham Bell is inventing well, I'll get to that in a second. He's inventing the telephone, which we first find out when we get into Alexander Graham Bell's office, or his laboratory, that he first accidentally invents television, and he turns it on, and Pinky and the Brain are on, and he says, oh gosh, the world is not ready for this, and he smashes it. Which was, again, just weird, okay? But he says, okay, a telephone, I've got to try to get this thing to work. Of course, he's calling it the Telem phone, which I that sounds right. Like, it seems like I may have heard somewhere that the telephone was originally called the Telem phone, but maybe that's just
I know you're supposed to say ahoy hoy.
Ahoy hoy. Are you really? Like Mr. Burns?
That's why Mr. Burns says ahoy hoy, because that was what Alexander Graham Bell wanted everyone to say on the phone. Wow.
Okay. Well, I learned something right there. Okay, that's a little bit of history right now. I just say ahoy hoy when I answer the phone because Mr. Burns said it. But anyway.
Yeah.
Anyway, they go to Alexander Graham Bell, and they're being mean to him right from the get-go. They ask for a pizza, and he says, what? An order of what? And he says, easy, we want this with one of these. And they throw a pizza in his face and take his phone. And Yakko then says that they also invented pizza, which, again, I'm getting confused with this issue. Like,
it's so weird.
You invented pizza? What? Anyway, Alexander Graham Bell is annoyed by them. He tells them, go outside and string telephone cords all around the place so we can talk to somebody else. And they're making beeping noises, I'm assuming, like a telephone truck would do. Again, I don't know why they're making beeping noises. They don't really talk about why. Eventually the phone picks up and they yell, hello, we'd like a pizza, into the phone. And a pizza guy comes out through the door, and Alexander Graham Bell says, how'd you get this pizza over here when, you don't have a phone? And he says, it's easy. I just hear everybody yelling and I come in. Ha 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 ha. So I don't know. They start selling the phones, and everybody around town is getting the phones. But the Warners start taking advantage of this fact. Everybody has a phone. They decide that they are going to start doing crank calls on everybody. And they're not the best crank calls. I mean, some of them are pretty good. Like, they call an Italian chef and they say, "Do you have spaghetti with amata?" And the Italian chef says, "Amata? What's amata?" And he says, "I don't know. What's amata with you?" And they're getting pizzas delivered to, you know, to places like the, which I thought was like a general's office, but it's actually the Anti-Cheese Society. So they're just being jerks. They're being they're being jerkier than they've ever been, I think, before.
Jerky boys.
Yeah. Oh, hey. So they're calling them all up, and eventually, Alexander Graham Bell cuts them off literally by cutting their cord, and, they say, "Whoa, you know, we ran away and we're hungry, and too bad there's no phones left. I could really go for a pizza. Well, let's get one the old-fashioned way." And they yell out of the water tower, "Hey, pizza guy, give me 3 jumbos with everything on them and hold the anchovies." The end. And they're in the water tower. Apparently the Warner Brothers lot tower, which makes no sense because they had telephones by the time Warner Brothers was around.
It's a TARDIS, Joey. It can go into any time.
When I saw this, Nathan, it really did feel like the TARDIS in this episode, in this cartoon,
right?
In this issue, in this story, in this whatever it is. This comic has got me flustered and angry. Whatever.
That room at the beginning is just one room of
really
the TARDIS.
Oh, I see. Just one circular room that looks like it should be the water tower from overhead, but it's not. Oh,
it's just an anti-gravity room.
That would make more sense. Why Wacko is floating in midair.
See? Now you're less angry at it.
Sure. No, it really did feel like the TARDIS. I mean, because they basically say right at the beginning, "What should we do? Let's go see Alexander Graham Bell," you know, and
and they already know about phones and pizza, you know, and
they say, let's go visit the gadget guy, Alexander Graham Bell, and again, this comic, it kind of bothered me in many different ways. It was out of character, I think, for the Warners, and I just didn't like the story. What do you think, Nathan? I
liked seeing Pinky and the Brain drawn well for a second. Yeah. The game of telephone was kind of cute.
Yeah, they were, as they were testing out the phone, they say, "Hey, come here, Watson, I need you." And then they eventually changed, like, "I need you" to "I want to kiss you" or something like that. All that stuff.
Right? It would have been funny if they said "Purple Monkey Dishwasher." Haha! That's a Simpsons reference.
I made too many Simpsons references in this one episode already. But what do you think? Would this episode work okay on in an actual TV episode?
It just doesn't make sense. If they were more of a TARDIS, then maybe it would make more sense.
Yeah, it really. Boy, oh boy. Okay, we got to power through to the next one.
Oh boy!
And the next one, of course, is a Pinky and the Brain comic, and it's called Space Case. And Space Case was written by John Walker. Penciler was Neil Sternicki. Inker Scott McRae. Letterer Steve Haney. Colorist Tom Ziuku. And Nathan, tell us what happens here in Space Case.
I have no idea. No,
this is it is a very convoluted plot. But go ahead.
It's so dumb. All right, so Pinky and the Brain. All right, so we're outside their lab, and some reporters are asking the scientist, "Is it true that we got a collect call from Venus?" And he's like, "Yes, it's true. We may already be in the Cosmic Clearinghouse sweepstakes, or may already be a winner of it." So it's like a weird. So apparently Venus is a place that you could go to, because it's not. Well,
Venus is what's set up right at the very beginning is that these scientists have been having these secret talks with the Venetians, the Venusians, or whatever you want to call
creatures from Venus that have been talking to humans. So they're going to send some mice up into the air, or into space, and it's not Pinky and the Brain. You would think it would be them, but no, it's not them. So they go over next door to the mice that are going to space, and they switch places with them. Okay, they could have just sent, whatever.
Well, the Brain wants to, they've been there. He says, like, they have a seniority in the lab, and therefore they should go.
But for some reason, this is going to help them rule the world.
It doesn't make any sense to me either. I don't. They probably said how somewhere they were going to take over the world. Here's the weird thing: the scientists were going to be taking over the world. It sounds like, doesn't it?
Right?
Because there's this discussion. They go into the science lab, and the scientists say, "This Venusian mega mind blinder sounds like it can do some incredible brainwashing. I just can't figure why they're making us send mice to pick up the parts." So basically, these scientists and this military general want to brainwash everybody in the world. And apparently the people on Venus have said that they are going to help give them the parts for this. I don't know. It's weird. Anyway, go on, Nathan. What happens next?
Right. Okay. So anyways, Pinky and the Brain get launched into space in a rocket. And they're in the little glass cage, so they break out, and then they need to get gravity boots. So they get some gravity boots. And then they're on Venus, which looks like the moon, even though Venus should be all gassy, basically, and really hot, but none of that.
No.
Also, there's no gravity on Venus for some reason. I mean, there's an atmosphere, so there should be gravity. Anyways, whatever. Continuing, the creatures from Venus are actually cats. They look kind of like Sylvester or something, and they decide they want to eat the mice. So, they capture them, and then they're gonna break them like they do, those eggs. What are those eggs called that you crack them with a spoon and then...
Like hard-boiled eggs. They put them in little things, and they're trying to crack their helmets open with spoons.
Yeah. So, to break away, Pinky and the Brain just take off their gravity boots and fly away, even though they should just kind of stay in the same spot. But whatever. I guess they jump really high, we'll say that. And then they get back into their rocket. And that's the end of the episode. They say, well, tomorrow night we'll try to take over the world, and that's pretty much it. Yeah. Also, all the animation looks pretty bad. But
well, yeah, the animation looks horrible. They didn't move at all.
Right? And it looks like they didn't even color in a lot of them, because they're wearing helmets. It just looks like black and white.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, they got to save some money on inking in this one. Yeah, because they didn't have to worry. Apparently, once you put your mouse head into a bubble, you don't have to color the nose or anything like that. So they're just black and white faces. Yeah, this comic was confusing. It made little to no sense, and it wasn't that funny.
Nope. It didn't feel like a Pinky and the Brain episode. It felt like it was just a generic mice cartoon.
Yeah. Like the mice it could be any mouse. That's true. It's like they didn't really, and at one point, I don't understand why, but the Brain asks, "I implore you, eat me first." Is that just because Pinky is supposed to be annoying him or something like that?
I think so.
But I didn't get the sense that the Brain was really being annoyed that much by Pinky. I don't know. The comedy on this one just didn't seem to work as well.
What about when Pinky walked into a wall?
Yeah, he walked into a wall and hit his head in the mouse hole or something like that. Again, just little things that just weren't working. And of course, the comic writers right here are trying to give Pinky different things to say than just Narf and Zort or whatever. Zut or I don't know. But point. Those are the three things he says, right? Narf, Zort, or Zort. I can't even pronounce it right. And point.
Point.
But in this, he's saying again, Snoo brain and Zork's brain, and then he
wants to say Wang brain.
Yeah, because the Brain whacks open the cage with he kind of does this karate kick to open up their door, and makes this sound Wang. And he says, "Ooh, I like that sound effect. Mind if I pinch it for me vocabulary?" He talks so much like a Cockney. He's written so differently. Pinky would not sound like this in an actual comic. I don't know. The brain's good enough, you know, he's looking good, but I don't know. It was just a confusing story, and I didn't like it. I didn't like it at all. Any thoughts on this one, Nathan, before we wrap it up?
No, that's pretty much it. It just was not good.
Yeah. Well, let's go ahead and get to our water tower rating. Well, what do you think, Nathan? Out of 5 water towers, how many water towers would you give this comic book?
Let's say 2 water towers. Well, I'll say I'm gonna go 1.5.
1.5. And why is that?
I just really didn't like any of them very much. I mean, there was some funny parts, I think, so that's where that 1.5 comes from. But overall, just like animation-wise, like that Pinky and the Brain one especially just bothered me, I think.
Yeah, I agree. It's well, I don't know. Each one bothered me for different reasons, but I'm going to go ahead and say 1.5 as well. It's like the drawings were all a little bit off. It seems like they just really didn't put too much effort into this one. I mean, I guess I take that back. They put effort into it. I just think when they did, they kind of failed, which is sad. But it's like, I think that first one, with a little bit of retooling, you might be able to do something with it, like, you know, to make it a little bit better. But it's just weird. It's a seance to bring back the spirits or something of the old Warners who were right there of their previous selves. It's like, it's too meta, man. It's weird.
Yeah. But like I think that was maybe the best one. I don't know. They're all.
That was the best of the 3, if I were to say, like, rank them.
Yeah.
Yeah. The Pinky and the Brain was definitely the worst. Well, anyway. Well, there we go. So that'll do it for today's discussion. We will be back next week. We're going to be talking about episode 73 of Animaniacs. Nathan, let's get to some contact information. Nathan, where can people get in contact with you online?
Well, if you want to see me or hear from me or read from me, Twitter. JangoFT, that's me.
All
there
right.
we go.
And as for the Animanicast, we are on Twitter, we're on Facebook, we're on Instagram, we have a YouTube channel. Go ahead and subscribe to that. Subscribe to our feed on iTunes, Stitcher, or whatever podcast listener you like to listen to. You gotta do it. It's amazing. It's fantastic. It's what all the cool kids are doing. Or you could simply go over to animanicast.com, and that'll take you right on over to our retrozap.com archives. And speaking of retrozap.com, there's a ton of awesome podcasts and articles and videos and all this other stuff on retrozap.com that you could be listening to and watching and reading every single day. We have great articles written by Dennis Keithley, who reviews each and every issue of Star Wars comics that come out. And of course, we have 21 different podcasts that you should be listening to. Podcasts such as the ArgCast, Beltway Banthas, Skywalking Through Neverland, The Deuce Cast, and Starships, Sabers, and Scoundrels, along with a bunch of other ones. And you know what you can do? You can actually simply subscribe to the retrozap.com feed on iTunes or whatever podcast listener you listen to, and you can have each one of the RetroZap podcasts delivered straight to your device. It's fantastic, including this one. So there you go. Well, that'll do it for today's episode. So, for Nathan, this is Joey saying, good night, everybody.
Good night, everybody.
This podcast is not endorsed by Warner Brothers or Amblin Entertainment and is intended for entertainment and information purposes only. Animaniacs, the Warner Brothers logo, all names, pictures, and sounds of the Animaniacs characters or any other Animaniacs-related items are registered trademarks and or copyrights of Warner Brothers, Amblin Entertainment, or their respective trademark and copyright holders. All original content of this podcast is the intellectual property of the Animanicast unless otherwise indicated. Hi there, this is Frank. I'm here interviewing people about the lovely people over at tpublic.com who are our sponsors for today's show. Excuse me, sir. Can you come here?
What's that?
Well, I was wondering if you, sir, liked t-shirts.
Like 'em? I love t-shirts. I wear a t-shirt every day.
Well, I see. Whoa, watch out for that traffic. Jeez, it's crazy out here. Yeah, so anyway, I was wondering, did you know that TeePublic is a great place to go for independent artist designs?
No, I did not.
And did you know that by going to TeePublic and seeing all those different shirts, you are not only getting an awesome shirt, but you are helping sponsor various independent artists around the world?
No, I did not.
And did you also not know that if you went to tpublic.animanicast.com, you could see a selection of Animaniacs, Pinky and the Brain, Tiny Toons, Freakazoid, Spielberg, and various other designs selected by the hosts of the Animanicast.
No, I did know that.
Oh, well, yeah. So anyway, head on over to tpublic.animanicast.com.
I already did. Look at this awesome shirt I'm wearing.
Wow, it's the Animanicast logo.
Yep, and there's a bunch of other ones up there too. So head on over to tpublic.animanicast.com.